To get revenge on his biggest rival, Bruce secretly messed with his broadcast. He changed his voice on purpose, making himself sound completely ridiculous. Then he secretly edited the teleprompter. The anchor started reading a bunch of nonsense. Everyone watching was confused, but the equipment showed no problems. The boss had no choice but to let him continue. But this was only the beginning. Bruce had gained these powers because he had become the temporary god. A few days earlier, Bruce was the unluckiest man alive. He was almost 40, but still had no success. Bad luck followed him everywhere. His favorite team always lost. Traffic was always terrible on his way to work. He worked as a reporter, but always got stuck with boring stories. Soon, he was fired from his job. One day, he tried to help a homeless man being bullied, but ended up getting beaten up himself. Completely frustrated, Bruce started blaming God. But that night, he received a mysterious phone call. He ignored it, but the phone kept ringing. Already angry after losing his job, Bruce got even more annoyed. Finally, he threw the phone out the window. For the first time, everything became quiet, but when he turned around, he saw his girlfriend's dog making a mess again. Bruce grabbed the dog and rushed toward the bathroom, but he was already too late. After cleaning everything up, the strange ringing started again. The broken pager was still working. Bruce became curious and called the number back. It turned out to be a job offer, but something felt strange. The person on the other end knew everything about him, his name, his life, even all the bad luck he had suffered. Then they told him to come over. Bruce drove his old broken car there. When he arrived, he saw an abandoned-looking building. It didn't look like a company at all, but since he was already there, he decided to take a look. Inside, the building was completely empty. There was nobody around. Just as Bruce was about to leave, a janitor suddenly appeared and told him the office was on the 7th floor. Bruce didn't believe him, but still took the elevator up. When he reached the 7th floor, it looked exactly the same, empty and abandoned. Bruce thought he had been tricked. Suddenly, a bright light flashed toward him. When he looked closer, it was the same janitor from before. The man acted strangely, making Bruce feel like someone was playing a prank on him. Bruce turned around to leave, but the janitor took off his coat, revealing a clean white suit underneath. Then he called Bruce by name. He was the person who arranged the interview. Even stranger, he knew everything about Bruce. The man told him, every thought Bruce had was stored inside a nearby cabinet. Bruce refused to believe it, and opened the cabinet himself. Inside were all of his thoughts. The man even repeated everything Bruce said to God the night before. Bruce was shocked, and asked who he really was. The man finally revealed the truth. He was God. Bruce still didn't believe him. He thought it was some kind of prank show, because no one would build heaven in a place like this. Bruce searched everywhere, trying to find the trick, but found nothing. He still refused to give up, so he tested God with a guessing game. God answered every question instantly. For God, it was nothing difficult. God told Bruce he was tired of hearing all his complaints. Since Bruce thought he could do a better job, God decided to let him try. Before leaving, God gave Bruce all of his powers. Bruce walked out of the building, and immediately noticed something strange. He stepped into a puddle, but his feet stayed on the surface. Bruce thought it was just luck, and quickly got into his car, but the car wouldn't start. Then suddenly, it worked again. If that was still a coincidence, what happened next was impossible to explain. Bruce rushed into a restaurant, wanting to test his new powers. The sugar and milk moved by themselves. Everyone around him was shocked. Then he realized he didn't have a spoon. A spoon flew right into his hand. Bruce started believing he really had become God. The owner brought him tomato soup, so Bruce decided to try again. With one move, the soup split into two separate sides. At that moment, God appeared again, and explained the rules he forgot to mention. Bruce could use his powers freely, but there were two limits. He could never reveal that he was God, and he could never control another person's free will. After saying that, God left for vacation. Bruce finally realized he had been standing on the ocean. Going from the world's biggest loser to someone with unlimited power still felt strange. He walked around like a completely different person. A shirt he could never afford before instantly appeared on his body. He could even change his appearance. Then he noticed the same guys who beat him up before were having a party nearby. Bruce walked over and demanded an apology. The guys refused and continued making fun of him. Then suddenly, a monkey appeared out of nowhere. Everyone froze in shock and ran away. The monkey ran off too, but soon came back. Bruce simply waved his hand and sent it away again. The next morning, Bruce suddenly heard countless voices. He couldn't find where they came from. He cleaned his ears, and the voices disappeared. Then he saw the dog again, getting ready to make a mess. Bruce waved his hand, and the dog ran straight to the toilet. After finishing, it even flushed by itself. This time, Bruce promised himself he would get his old job back, but when he saw his broken car, he immediately changed it into a luxury vehicle. Even the best car couldn't escape traffic. Bruce moved his finger slightly, and the entire road cleared instantly. He finally arrived at the new scene, but Channel 5 was already there. Their reporter mocked him, saying they already had every story covered. Bruce wasn't worried, because for him, creating news was as easy as moving a finger. A moment later, a dead body was discovered nearby. Every reporter rushed over. Channel 5 tried to get there first, but their car doors suddenly locked, and the keys were trapped inside. Bruce got the exclusive exclusive story. That report helped him take back his position. The editor who ignored him before now finally respected him. But if Bruce wanted to move up, he needed even bigger stories. At a chili festival, Bruce used his powers again. A meteor suddenly crashed nearby. Everyone at the event went crazy. Bruce got another huge headline. After that, big stories kept appearing, one after another. Bruce became the most famous reporter in the city. His rival was completely pushed out. Finally, Bruce got everything he wanted. He took Grace out to celebrate. But while sitting at the restaurant, the strange voices returned. Bruce thought it was just the noisy environment, so he walked outside. But the voices didn't stop. When he opened his eyes again, he was standing on top of Mount Everest. God told him those voices were people's prayers. Then God asked Bruce how many people he had actually helped. Bruce had no answer, because he spent the whole week enjoying his powers, instead of helping anyone. Bruce said he was going to help everyone eventually, but God showed him the truth. Even one small city had more prayers than he could handle. Bruce entered the place where prayers were stored, and saw mountains of messages. At first, he wanted to organize them with paper notes, but the number was impossible. Then he got an idea. He used a computer, and downloaded every prayer. It was much faster, but there were still millions of them. The download took forever. Even God had already woken up, and Bruce had only finished part of it. He started his new job, with a cup of coffee. Hours later, Bruce finally finished answering all the prayers. But in the next second, millions of new ones appeared. Bruce completely broke down. He realized he could never finish them all, so he gave up, and approved every single request. Soon, everyone became happy, but Bruce didn't realize he had created a huge problem. That night, Bruce happily went to a celebration dinner. His career was better than ever. A beautiful coworker started showing interest in him, but Bruce ignored her, and called Grace instead. He invited her to the party, but Grace was still upset. She refused to come, so Bruce used his powers to control the dog at home. The dog turned on the TV, and changed the channel. Grace saw an old movie they shared memories with, and started thinking about Bruce. Then the dog brought her the car keys. Grace finally decided to go see him. Meanwhile, Bruce waited nervously at the party. Suddenly, the female anchor walked over. She flirted with him, and kissed him without warning. At that exact moment, Grace arrived, and saw everything. Bruce immediately chased after her, trying to explain, but Grace wouldn't listen. God appeared again. Bruce asked him why he couldn't just make Grace love him again. God reminded him no one could control another person's free will, not even God himself. Only then did Bruce understand some things could never be forced. At the same time, the problems he created started getting worse. The stars he made turned into falling meteors. The moon he moved closer created dangerous tides. The lottery winners couldn't even divide the money fairly. People filled the streets, demanding answers. The whole world was becoming chaotic, but Bruce didn't notice. He was still enjoying being the new face of the news. The show started, but the studio suddenly lost power. Bruce restored the electricity with his powers. Then a coworker stole his lines. The reporters at the scene kept talking over him. When the camera finally returned, the power went out again. Bruce fixed it one more time. Then his boss interrupted, saying the city was already facing riots. That was when Bruce finally realized everything happening was because of him. He ran into the streets, and saw complete chaos. People were fighting over supplies. Crowds were protesting. Cars were overturned. Fire covered the streets. Bruce finally understood he couldn't fix this alone. He started calling out for God, again and again, but this time, God didn't answer. Just when Bruce was about to give up, God appeared. He told Bruce being God wasn't as easy as it looked. Managing everything was much harder than Bruce imagined. Bruce admitted he didn't know what to do. God reminded him they had a meeting at 7. They returned to the old building, and started cleaning together. It was just simple cleaning, but Bruce finally found some peace. As the room became clean, the chaos outside slowly faded. God told Bruce, no matter how messy life became, people always had the ability to fix things themselves. But Bruce still didn't understand how to answer everyone's prayers. God explained, splitting soup in half was just a trick. A real miracle was a single mother working 2 jobs, and still making time for her child. Bruce finally understood. People always asked God to solve their problems, but they forgot they already had the power to create miracles themselves. After God left, Bruce returned to the real world. The chaos had disappeared. The moon was back to normal. Everything returned to its place. When he got stuck in traffic, he learned to wait patiently. When he saw someone needing help, he stepped forward. Helping others made him feel happier than ever. Back at the news station, he gave the anchor position back to his old coworker, and became a reporter again. He stopped ordering his dog around. Instead, he patiently trained it. Life slowly moved in a better direction. One day, Grace's sister came over to collect Grace's belongings. She saw the photo album Bruce made, and finally told him the truth. She said, every night before going to sleep, Grace prayed for Bruce. She always hoped he would find himself, and find happiness. Bruce was shocked. He immediately opened the prayer records. Just like Grace's sister said, every prayer was about him. She asked God to help Bruce find peace, to help him find his way, and to give him strength. Then a new prayer appeared. Grace was praying again. Bruce rushed to her window and listened quietly. Grace said she still loved Bruce, but she didn't want to keep hurting anymore. She asked God to help her forget him and let him go. Bruce was heartbroken. He finally understood how much pain he had caused. He had been chasing power while ignoring the person who loved him the most. He realized his powers were never the greatest gift. Grace's love was, but he had hurt her with that gift. Bruce fell to his knees and gave everything up. He told God he didn't want to control his life anymore. He wanted God to decide his future. When Bruce opened his eyes, he was standing in heaven. God was waiting for him. God offered him one final wish. Bruce closed his eyes and prayed. He wished for world peace. He wished everyone could escape suffering. But God knew that wasn't what Bruce truly wanted. God asked him what he really cared about. Bruce answered, Grace. He didn't want her back anymore. He only wanted her to be happy. Even if she found someone else, he hoped she would meet someone who would love her the way she deserved. God smiled because Bruce finally understood. That was a true prayer. Seeing Bruce had changed, God decided to give him one last chance. Bruce woke up, back in a hospital room. The doctors had saved his life. Grace was standing outside, seeing Bruce injured. She couldn't hide her concern. Bruce finally understood how selfish he had been. He gave Grace a sincere apology, and they finally forgave each other. Bruce realized the greatest gifts were the things already in his life. After leaving the hospital, Bruce returned to his old job. This time, he stopped complaining and started enjoying his work. He found his old sense of humor again. He learned to accept himself, love the people around him, and enjoy every ordinary day, because sometimes, the greatest miracle is simply learning how to live. The end.